Hello and welcome back to the virtual classroom. I'm your host, Dr. Olmsted. Welcome to part 2 or part B of our lecture on the Middle Ages. And we're going to pick up where we left off. But before we begin, as always, take a moment, hit pause on this video, jot down the rest of the lecture outline, starting with the Byzantine Empire. Jot down those key terms to the left. You got it? Let's get started. Now, we left off talking about all the changes in the Western Europe, especially regarding the rise of feudalism, the collapse of monarchies, but then the rebirth of it on the eve of the Renaissance, in part due to trade and the Crusades, which go hand in hand. Now, at this time, however, we also are seeing a change in the Byzantine Empire. Now, I want to be very clear. Byzantine Empire. The term Byzantine was not what they called themselves. In fact, it's a modern invention. It's a modern term. They call themselves either Romans or Greeks. Remember, the Roman Empire had collapsed, and what they see themselves as is the continuation of the Roman Empire. However, we separate it as scholars, historians, into a separate things we call the Byzantine Empire. But this term, the Byzantine Empire, is used for this medieval period Greek-speaking Christian empire that dominated the Eastern Mediterranean. Now, quick recap of what happened. In 292 CE, Diocletian divided the Roman Empire into two. In 324, Constantine reunites the two parts. In 330, Constantine builds a new capital to be in the location of ancient Byzantium. In 337, the death of Constantine results in the permanent division of East and West. In 395, the final division takes place as they are officially split in two. In 476 CE, we have the end of the Western Roman Empire, but the Eastern half remains intact, and what we now call the Byzantine Empire. Now, let's talk about a comparison here at this period. In the old Western Roman Empire, the roads are in disrepair. The cities are falling apart, central governments break down, long-distance trade is stopped, and people will move into rural areas, though it is still decidedly Roman Catholic. In the East, however, it is still a unified central government. The capital is Constantinople. It is an Eastern Orthodox Christianity, and they will attempt to preserve some elements of the Roman Empire. And they will enjoy many advantages that allowed it to stay intact, unlike the Western Roman Empire. For instance, it is wealthier in the East and more urbanized. It has a more defensible capital. Constantinople was a walled-in city. There was a shorter frontier to guard. They had a stronger army and navy, and in general, very strong leaders with clever diplomacy. Now, they will continue many elements from the old Roman Empire, including the idea of royal roads, the Roman road, a taxation system, military structures, centralized bureaucracy, the laws and court system, and even the style of Roman-style robes and sandals. But while that remained the same, a lot also changed. While they're never as large as the Roman Empire, they will reach this largest size during the reign of Emperor Justinian. They will lose a lot of territory to both the Arab and Muslim expansion in the 7th century, including Syria and Palestine, Egypt, and North Africa. And again, we talked about in the lecture on the Islamic world, is that it became kind of a joke in a way that the Byzantine Empire is the quote-unquote incredibly shrinking empire, because it keeps getting pecked away at from outside invaders. However, it still maintains a firm control of the Eastern Mediterranean, Greece, the Balkans, and Anatolia. It will create a strong centralized authority in Constantinople. It will have an imperial court filled with grandeur, wealth, and court ceremonies. The provinces of the empire will be ruled by generals who had civil authority and could raise their own armies. The central government that is, focused on collecting taxes, maintaining order, and suppressing revolts. Now, within Constantinople, while we talk about its greatest ruler being Justinian, who will create the Justinian Code, a law code that is the basis of U.S. law today, it will also create the famed Hagia Sophia Monastery that became the seat of Eastern Christianity until the fall of Constantinople. In 522 CE, it is Byzantine monks who will sneak silkworms out of China that will allow the Europeans to develop their own silk. And so this right there is going to help keep the Byzantine Empire going for a much longer time as they control the silk trade in the western side of the hemisphere, of the continent. Now, religiously speaking, however, the emperor will assume both the head of state and the head of church position. Now remember, this is very unlike what's happening in Western Europe at the same time, which is pretty much the Pope's in charge, whereas the kings and local princes are subservient to the Pope. In the Eastern Empire, in Byzantine Empire, the emperor and the religious leader are one and the same. They will also appoint church leaders. They will call the church councils into session. They will make decisions about religious doctrine and rules. And essentially, the church becomes a government department. So in one person, it is both political and religious power. You are both Caesar and Pope, or you see on the screen, Caesaropapism, or Caesar Pope. The church and state were interconnected. They were intertwined. And Eastern Orthodox came from the Roman Empire originally, so it does share many elements of the Roman Catholic Christianity, including the teachings of Jesus, the Bible, the sacraments, a church hierarchy with patriarchs, bishops, priests, missionaries, and a strong intolerance for other religions. But Eastern Orthodox Christianity also provided a cultural identity for the people within the Byzantine Empire. It was filled with churches, relics of saints, and icons. These icons were known as religious paintings of Jesus, Mary, and other saints or holy figures. And honestly, if you want to really kind of almost cynically break down what is really the difference between East and West Catholic churches, and the Byzantine Eastern Orthodox Church versus the Western Holy Roman Empire, as far as religious beliefs, in the Roman side of things, in the Western Europe, it was largely statues to saints. In the Eastern side, in the Byzantine Empire, it was paintings. And so, in many ways, they were kind of mirror images of each other, or if darkly reflected images of each other. Just one uses statues, one uses paintings. Which one's right? Well, it depends on which side you fall in the argument for, and which one you personally believe. Now, in 1054, this schism between the two, because the Roman emperor or Roman Pope is going to accuse the Eastern counterpart, Eastern Orthodoxy, of iconoclasm, and basically saying that those paintings of the saints are heretical. They are sinful. They are wrong. And of course, in return, the Byzantine priests will say that the statues of saints are wrong, are evil, are vile, are heresy, are sin. And so in 1054, both the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church are going to excommunicate each other and declare that each one was not really a Christian. Again, I told you, some of these things are very petty at times, and you can see some of the other big differences on my screen right now. But here's the reality. The churches are not that different. The big difference really is that in the East, the emperor and the Pope are one and the same, whereas in the West, the Pope kind of controls all things in Western Europe. Now, what makes them distinct? Well, economically, Constantinople is going to rule over the Byzantine Empire. There will be a large peasant class, and Food prices are kept low, but not for the peasants, but rather for the urban lower class. We will see a quick new production in silk. We will see manufactured cloth, carpets, and luxury products that will be traded in both the Mediterranean and Black Sea trade, but also in the Indian Ocean trade, which for a time is going to make the Byzantine Empire quite wealthy. Women would find themselves confined to their homes. Many would find that they have to conceal their faces if they left home, so no one else could see their faces. The only men that women socialized with were their husbands or family members. And so women would see a loss of rights within the Eastern Empire, the Byzantine Empire. We will also see a number of important cultural achievements. Greek will replace Latin as the vernacular language, as the language of the government. We will see the influence of classical literature. We will see that education was valued for children of wealthy people. However, peasants and urban workers had no formal education. Many will convert to Eastern Orthodox Christianity and will adopt the Cyrillic alphabet that you see on the screen there on your screen. And what this did, however, the Cyrillic script is going to make it possible to translate the Bible and other religious texts into a vernacular language that people can read, because no one read Latin, let's face it. And it will help foster mass conversion to Eastern Orthodox Christianity, but it will also help with that schism that occurred in 1054 when both churches excommunicated each other. The Roman Catholic Church felt this was wrong because the only true language was Latin in the minds of the Catholic Church. Now, the Byzantine Empire is going to face a number of threats from outsiders, from the Persian Empire, the Arab armies of the Islamic world, and crusaders from Western Europe. Their biggest military weapon was called a Greek fire, which was a combination of oil, sulfur, and lime that was launched from bronze tubes. Think of it like a flamethrower. However, their most significant expansion of this era is into Kievan Russia, or Kievan Rus, which becomes modern-day Russia, or modern-day Ukraine and Western Russia. The major city is Kiev, which of course has been in the news a lot lately thanks to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It was a highly stratified society ruled by many different princes, but Prince Vladimir, the Prince of Kiev, he wanted to bring a new faith to the people of Rus that would help unify the many diverse peoples of the region. He also wanted to link Rus to the wider network of communication and trade in the world. And so he was drawn to Eastern Orthodox Christianity because of the splendor and wealth of Constantinople, the beauty of the Eastern Orthodox churches, and as a result of his conversion, he will receive the sister of a Byzantine emperor as a bride. He will see mass conversion of people within his realm, and we will see a massive expansion of the Byzantine Empire influence through the church, through the Eastern Orthodox Church, into what is now Ukraine and Western Russia. And as a result, it will bring a lot of those advances in in art, architecture, and in literature to what is now Ukraine and Western Russia, including architectural styles, the Cyrillic alphabet, the use of icons, those paintings, and a monastic tradition that stresses prayer and service. So how do we conclude this? Well, as this period comes to an end, the Western Europe is on the rise. We are headed for the Renaissance. Byzantine Empire is headed for a fall. During most of its existence, it's in conflict with the Muslim caliphates. It was known as the Incredible Shrinking Empire, as it gradually lost territory from about 630 CE after Justinian to its fall in 1453 CE. It began to face numerous incursion and invaders, both from Muslim invaders from Turkic Muslims, but also from Catholic crusaders from Western Europe who began to invade its borders. The empire will officially fall in 1453 when the Ottoman Turks would conquer Constantinople. But it will leave a lasting imprint in world history through its law codes, its distinctive architecture, the Eastern Orthodox religion, and its organizational structure. So here we are. We're on the eve of the Renaissance, which is the eve to the Age of Exploration. But until next time, take care, and bye-bye.